The skincare industry is an extremely crafty mechanism that produces products for which they find consumers, and one of the major ways in which they find consumers is promotional campaigns. One arm of the promotional campaigning of the skincare industry is what we call current or future trends. You'll find a lot of these columns online, whether it's a YouTube or a TikTok video or an actual written column in a magazine or in a blog, where the writer or the influencer talks about the upcoming trends, what's going to be the next hottest thing, best thing for your skin, and what are the promises underlying those new trends. Now, the interesting thing is that these are across the board almost completely manufactured by skincare companies and skincare corporations, and they are being produced to actually drive an emotional response for you, the consumer, to find the product desirable, the effect, something that you actually need and crave, and then go and purchase that product and use it, hopefully with some benefit. So I wanted to dissect a few of those trends that keep on recurring in skincare industry publications and promotional materials, and take a look at what's really underlying those trends, what are the promises, and what is really underlying all that, how the sausage is being made. So let's take a look. The first trend that is very popular is the environmental trend, meaning these are products that are being produced in an environmentally friendly way, or there's some sort of an environmental consciousness in the making of the product. So they're either using green energy of sorts, maybe solar energy or wind energy or some sort of another proclaimed renewable source of energy. The packaging may be something that could be recycled or was recycled from other ingredients. The ingredients themselves are proclaimed to be either grown and derived from plants or maybe synthesized to avoid any sort of cruelty to animals in the extraction process. One ingredient that I've seen recently mentioned in that sort of environmentally conscious or cruelty-free ballpark of claims is squalane, which is really a very low evidence-based ingredient that some skincare companies incorporate into their products, that was claimed to previously be extracted from shark livers, and now it's extracted from plant materials, specifically from olives, and undergoing specific processing to saturate the initial ingredient, making it into squalane. Now let's take a look at the claim as a whole. So the skincare industry, specifically the very big corporations, are mega corporations that are worth probably tens of billions of dollars, if not more. And this requires large production plants, a very large promotional and supply chain on the back end. So clearly there's not a whole lot of regard for the environment. These are just regular companies that are doing their business and are polluting just like everybody else. So those claims are usually not something that you can verify. They're basically unfalsifiable claims, not to mention the fact that regulation over the skincare industry in that regard is deficient. And more so, even if the regulation was watertight, these skincare companies are so large, they're almost impossible to inspect, and all these claims to be verified. And even further, even if they were verified to be false, there's not a whole lot of recourse that you can have as a consumer. So if you're truly concerned with the environmental question, what I would do is I would actually try to focus on buying from smaller companies that would pollute a whole lot less than a big corporation that has the giant plants and the giant supply chain and the giant promotional arm and all sorts of other mechanisms that clearly consume a lot of energy and produce larger amounts of pollution. They just do it by their sheer size. The next hottest trend is natural ingredients. That is sort of adjacent to the environmental claims that a lot of these companies are making. So they're using ingredients that are derived from either living organisms, living animals, or from plants. Goat's milk is a very popular ingredient in recent years in skincare products, specifically in soaps, and it's claimed to have a calming effect on sensitized skin. The evidence out there is actually pretty sparse. There's not a whole lot of serious research that was done into it. Regardless of the numerous claims that people make, producers and consumers of these products alike. And I'm going to talk about goat's milk and goat's milk products in one of the upcoming videos and shed some light on some of the dangers that are associated with using natural ingredients indiscriminately. That being said, natural ingredients do require processing, whether it's goat's milk that does require incorporation into the product using some techniques, and other ingredients such as plant-based oils that do require extraction and purification, sometimes other modifications that don't make them as natural as we'd like to think. So while this is a nice idea in principle, a lot of the times it turns out to be a very far cry from the original promise, not to mention the fact that most people expect a natural ingredient to be safe. That is not necessarily the case. People can be allergic to natural ingredients. They can be allergic to milk. They can be allergic to plant-based oils. They can be allergic to a number of other ingredients that occur in nature. So that does not mean that the natural ingredient necessarily applies any degree of safety that synthetic ingredients do not. The next trend is children and teenage skincare. I've talked about this trend in a recent video. This is an attempt to actually open up another market share, another market niche for the skincare industry to expand into. And what you see is a lot of videos on YouTube and TikTok where people actually put up their own kids using skincare, their recommendations for skincare that is especially designed to target teens or kids. And there are blogs and other written material that discusses skincare for teenagers and for kids. I consider this trend basically trying to hook the next generation on skincare. Most of these products are completely unnecessary. There's no need for most kids or teenagers to use any kind of skincare, with the exception of maybe soap, maybe a little bit of moisturizer. The products offered, the routines offered, and many other aspects of this trend are much more exuberant than just the soap and the moisturizer that don't need to be used categorically and universally all over the body. So I would tread lightly, and I would see this trend exactly for what it is. It's another attempt to carve out a niche to sell more products to people and hook them young so they actually continue to use skincare into adulthood and for the rest of their lives. Last but not least is identity politics. So in recent years, we've been seeing more and more mentions of women-owned skincare businesses or black-owned skincare businesses, and a lot of people care about that subject, and I get it. I totally understand that some people would want to buy from specific demographics. If you do a quick search online for women-owned and fraud, you'll see that a lot of people have been gaming the system and actually have used those statements or claims to be a woman-owned business, but in fact were found to be committing fraud to game the system, to get more revenue, to get more customers, to get more money, be it from the government or from non-government organizations in the form of grants. So that thing needs to be very delicately and thoroughly researched if that's something that you truly care about. Some skincare corporations use pictures or photos that claim to be the owners or the starters of the business, or in fact there's no relation between the photos and the actual owners of the business, which are giant skincare corporations. So don't be played by the skincare industry. Do your research, do your due diligence, find out who owns the business truly. And if that's something that you truly care about, I totally understand. Go ahead and buy that product. But first and foremost, make sure that that product works for you. You really want to do best by you first. And then if that's something that matters to you secondarily, I'd say that's legitimate. Just go ahead and do your due diligence first about the quality of the product, the applicability and appropriateness to your skincare needs. And that's something that truly matters to you. Go ahead, buy the product from that business that you care about. So as you can see from those 4 trends, the skincare industry does use a lot of these, what we call emotional anchors, to get you to notice their products and to look for those products with the intent of buying based on the perceived need or the benefit or virtue that the producer has or the product has. As far as the broader picture is concerned, you really have to be mindful when buying skincare products from a certain producer or a manufacturer that all the boxes that matter to you check out. That being said, first of all, mind the need of your own skin and the need for the product in the first place. Not every biohack or new trend is something that would necessarily get you any benefit. In fact, the majority of these trends do not have any benefit for your skin. If secondary considerations truly matter to you, do your due diligence. Do not be played by skincare manufacturers, and actually find out exactly if what they say is true and how that benefits you in particular. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to share and like this video. Thanks for watching, and God bless.